we're back with a brand new edition of the old show Beyond the Mat. We have it's me, it's that MaTT, and every Wednesday riding with me is Huge Pop, Scott T.
And what are we going to talk about?
Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, what is going on?
What's going on, guys?
What do you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about?
I mean, we've been talking about WrestleManias going back from one. We left off with the two main events of WrestleMania 8. We didn't really get into that. And those two matches were Ric Flair and Randy Savage for the WWF Championship, and Sid Hogan. And that, again, it was long-term storytelling.
Yeah.
It was storytelling. It was a build from Rumble.
Right.
And the Macho Man was really kind of a risky one, I guess. Because it was one where Ric Flair alleged that Miss Elizabeth cheated on him with Ric Flair.
That's right, yes.
And he had pictures to prove it.
Yeah, he sure did.
And that was a big spread in the WWF magazine, if I remember right. It was like page after page of like Ric Flair feeding Miss Elizabeth strawberries and that kind of stuff at poolside and all this. And it was just one of those deals, right, where the first angle that really had that kind of edginess to it.
Yes.
Had real life flair to it, so to speak. Like, I mean, we had the Mega Powers exploding because Macho was jealous of Hogan or vice versa. Yeah, that, but we really, when it comes down to it, didn't get this kind of intensity out of a rivalry.
Right. What year was this in?
Let's see. This was 8. So, when was that? That was WrestleMania 8. Hold on, let me double check what year. Is it 92? I think.
All right. Yeah. So you're getting into the 90s where wrestling became a lot of edginess.
Friendships tore apart. The Macho Flair affair.
Isn't this the one where Ric Flair got accused of?
Go ahead.
Is this where Ric Flair got accused of blading? Is that the one?
He did get color. He did get color in that match. I'm not entirely sure if that was the match itself.
Okay.
But he did get color in that match. That's one of the things that I remember from it, because he had that bleach blonde hair, that almost white hair, and then just big old thing of blood. Right there. But yeah, that match was, it had everything. If it went 25 minutes strong. And let's see here. It went 25 minutes strong, and hold on. So it was just one of those situations where and Miss Elizabeth got involved as well. Mr. Perfect was at ringside with Flair, and Miss Elizabeth at the end came into the ring because they were gonna beat on Macho after he won, and that was the whole kiss of death.
That's right.
Because he decided to he laid hands on Miss Elizabeth and kissed her. But that surprisingly was the 6th match out of 10 that wasn't a main event, even though they billed it as a double main event. The main event, like everyone was saying, was another big build. Hogan and Sid. And that one was another Royal Rumble setup too. Because the Royal Rumble that year was to determine who the WWF champion was. Because that was after the Andre the Giant deal, I believe. Right. No, the Andre the Giant deal was WrestleMania 4. This one, I don't understand. I don't know what the. Nah. Hello.
You sent me a link.
Yes, I sent you a link so you can be in the chat.
Oh, well then.
You can stay in the box. Stay in Matt's box.
Please don't. It might be Valentine's Day, but I'm not like that, my friend.
That's a lie. Anyways.
So this Sid and Hogan build up at WrestleMania 8. Because again, I'm not a big historian, but was this was after the Saturday Night's Main Event where I put you through the power bomb and you took out the light?
It was somewhere along those lines.
Okay, but it's the same storyline, right? Same build.
Something, yeah. Okay. It was the one where Hogan and Sid were tag teaming with or tag teaming against Ric Flair and The Undertaker.
Okay.
Right. And Brutus Barber Beefcake was at ringside. Right. And everything was going to plan. Hogan was getting beat up like normal. Yep. And he lunged for Sid, and Sid just and dropped down.
Yes, that's right. Okay.
And started walking out on Hogan. And it went from that to Brutus was gonna well, you can't do this. You gotta help brother out. And he goes and said something along the lines of, "Let that fat pig help himself."
Gotcha. Okay.
So, and then that was that led into the next week on Superstars. Brutus had Sid on the barbershop.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Okay.
And he sent Brutus through the window and to start destroying his thing. And he goes, and that's when the whole thing, he goes, "I am the man that rules the world." And that's where that whole thing started. Okay. Well, it's just really funny to me looking back. So we had this big build up with Brutus. Brutus was going to be in his corner, all this and that. And the guy to save him at the end was Ultimate Warrior.
Yes, it was.
I mean, to me, it's like, all right, so who was booking this?
It makes lots of sense. Well, now we know who will book that. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, based on what we had a couple years ago.
But that, of course, Hogan wins that match. Because Hogan must pose.
Haters.
WrestleMania 9 rolls around, and who gives a shit? Be completely honest with you. That WrestleMania 9 from start to finish was absolute dog water. Absolute trash. It will go down, in my opinion, as the worst WrestleMania in WrestleMania history. It emanated from Las Vegas, Caesar's Palace, 16,891. Tagline, again, it's right down to the goddamn tagline. It was garbage. World's largest toga party.
Yep. Yep.
Way to go, Vince.
Yeah, I'm looking at the card. It was not impressive at all.
It was horrible. WrestleMania 9 was awful.
I mean, that was around the time where Vince was in trouble with
That's the steroid stuff.
that's steroid stuff, yeah. That's steroid period, yeah.
And it was trash. It was like Doink the Clown defeated Crush.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
First
episode, first WrestleMania held outside.
Yeah.
If you want to talk highlights, I guess it was held outside for the first time. Yay.
Undertaker against Giant Gonzalez. Seriously?
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about people I can't stand. That was the worst. The worst. I would say this. I thought Doink the Clown was dumb, but I got over that. But Gonzalez, that was awful, awful, awful ring attire.
Oh yeah.
It was bad. I was like, what? I remember watching it. I was like, why are they doing this?
And he was El Giante over in WCW. And then they let him keep the same gear coming over to WWE and said, well, we're going to call you Giant Gonzalez.
And then they had Harvey Whippleman in his corner. So I'm like, come on.
I mean, Yoko beat Brett, and then Hogan, of course, comes in and be like, I got a pose, brother. And from start to finish, you can't tell me that there's a good match in this, because I'll call you a liar. I mean, Tatanka defeated Shawn Michaels. By countout. Money Inc. beat Mega Maniacs, Hogan and Beefcake by disqualification.
Money Inc. That was Ted DiBiase and Virgil and
Ted DiBiase and IRS was
IRS. Okay, yeah. Was Virgil still around, or was he not even there yet?
He was singles competitor.
Okay.
Mid card.
Going
really. He was a glorified jobber at that point.
Yeah. I mean, but you had Fuji and Cornette. Those were some of the best managers to hit in history. Cornette and Fuji. So, I mean, I guess if you want to pick out high points, I mean,
Cornette wasn't involved, was he?
Yeah, it says what I read, Yokozuna with Mr. Fuji and Jim Cornette defeated Bret Hitman Hart to become new champion.
Okay. I mean, I think Mr. Fuji was the one that was like main in that. I don't think Cornette was.
Right.
But like I said, the worst WrestleMania in the history of WrestleMania.
Yes, I agree.
And if you think this is a great WrestleMania, cool. But you're wrong.
Well, I can tell you this: when I Googled WrestleMania 9, the top thing was worst WrestleMania ever. So there's no way it can be better than that.
I mean, to each your own if you enjoyed it, but it wasn't my cup of tea. Then you had 10 rolled around in 1994. We were emanating. It's the 10th anniversary of WrestleMania. And really, if in hindsight, we're a third of the way through WrestleManias at this point.
Right.
No. We're a quarter of the way through. This is a 10 years in the making. How original is that tagline?
Yeah.
It was held in Madison Square Garden, 18,065 people at WrestleMania 10. This had some really super good matches in it. Owen Hart defeated Bret Hart. That was a brother versus brother match. It was really solid.
Now that build up was that storyline, if I remember right, that storyline was a pretty big storyline too, via Saturday Night's Main Event and all the shows that we had the opportunity to watch. So they built that one up pretty good.
Then you can skip over this one. Bam Bam against Doink. Again, Doink the Clown.
Ludo Vachon was there, so hey.
And Dink.
And Dink was there. I mean,
you had Randy Savage versus Crush. Falls Count Anywhere match. Again, care less about that one. It was Crush. Alondra Blaze beat Lion Kai, or Lalani Kai. WWF Women's Championship. Alondra Blaze forever will be the woman who dropped said title in the trash on WCW Nitro, I think a year later.
Yep.
Then we had the Men on the Mission, MOM, big old Mabel and Mo with Oscar defeated the Quebecers. Really don't care about that one. Yokozuna with Mr. Fuji and Cornette defeated Lex Luger.
Yep.
To win the WWF Championship. Or to retain the WWF Championship. Mr. Perfect was the special guest referee, so you knew something was going to happen there. Here's the name for you. Earthquake against Adam Bomb.
Yes. Adam Bomb. He had those big old glasses. Yes.
Yes.
And
Bomb.
that long, greasy hair, I think, if I remember right. Yes.
He's actually on TikTok.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's on TikTok.
Okay.
Adam Bomb, if you're out there watching this, how you doing?
Come on the show.
Come on the show.
I mean,
we'd love to have you. Then what honestly was the match of the night happened. It was the ladder match for the undisputed WWF Intercontinental Championship. Razor Ramon, Shawn Michaels. And you had Diesel in Shawn's corner. That, to me, was better than Bret Yoko.
yes.
That was the first ladder match in WrestleMania history.
Yes.
And it didn't disappoint.
No,
it
amazing.
Was tremendous, I thought.
Absolutely.
It's just one of those things, though, where Razor did a hell of a job. He truly did. Razor did a great job. Being a newer talent in WWE.
Right.
At that point. And he did a wonderful job. It was his first singles championship that he had. And then Bret Yoko again. Bret beat Yoko with special guest referee Rowdy Piper.
Yeah.
And
Hogan did not pose.
Hogan was not there. I'm pretty sure he was on the set of Thunder in Paradise.
Probably.
Or maybe he was hanging out with Eric Bischoff on his yacht because that was 94. That was the first WrestleMania. That was the first WrestleMania that did not have Hulk Hogan in it.
That's right. So, yeah,
and that was
during his hiatus.
Yeah. That was. I mean, I hate to be so quick with this. I just don't want to get behind on things. But like I said, there was a lot of really solid matches there. Like the Bret Owen. If you guys have an opportunity, we can't show any highlights because of different copyright issues. But if you get a chance, that Owen Brett match was a very good technical match. It went 21. It went almost 21 minutes long, and it told a story. It was better than Brett Yoko, without question.
Right.
It was arguably the second best match of the night behind Shawn and Razor.
Right. As I was doing my little research, I noticed that WrestleMania 11 and WrestleMania 12 had much shorter cards than the prior years. So I don't know if that's better quality matches, or that most definitely compared to WrestleMania 9, better quality matches. But why do you think that is? Why do you think they went down to only like 7 matches instead of 10, 11, or 12?
Well, okay, so 10, I think for WrestleMania, and don't get me wrong, I understand why they've gone to the 2-night deal. It makes more money. They did it financially. I understand it. Right. But for us as fans, it's just a lot of goddamn wrestling. You're talking 14 to 16 matches over a 2-night period, and like by the end of it, and that's the thing. I'm going to say this right now. Like if we do get a chance to see Cody Roman at the end of night 2, it's going to be one of those deals where we're all like, "Holy fuck, we just ran a marathon over 2 days."
And it's going to start the Friday before, though. You got that Friday, the go home show on Friday. Then you got the after party on Monday. So it's going to be exhausting as wrestling fans.
And I think as wrestling fans, that's like after Mania, we all kind of be like, all right, we're going to take a little bit of a break here. we're gonna just let them do you do you, boo boo, and I'll just be over here waiting for the next pay-per-view, which is Backlash, wherever they decide whatever foreign country they're throwing that at this year. I think it's Bash at Berlin is like in June or July, but.
So I got a question for that part of it. I mean, I don't want to throw this out there, but is it a bad thing that they that 3 or 4 pay-per-views back to back in other countries? Is that a bad thing?
No, absolutely not. I'm shocked it's taken the last WrestleMania. The only WrestleMania that's been on foreign soil has been in Toronto. And that's really, according to Cody, it's Detroit North or Detroit East or whatever he wants to call it. So, so it's really America Light at that point for Toronto. But I'm surprised we haven't gone to like London or haven't gone to a bigger city for WrestleMania. Like we haven't taken that.
You think that's coming?
I think it's coming. I within the next 10 years, I think that we're going to have WrestleMania on foreign soil. I mean, I don't want to compare this to AEW at all, but AEW, if they can sell out O2 Arena and Wembley, then you might as well like say Detroit or say the WWE can do it in less time.
You think so? Yeah.
I truly believe so. If you say WrestleMania is coming to Wembley Stadium, it will sell out in half a minute. It'll be done. Like I don't think the internet's strong enough to handle the fucking Ticketmaster at that point. I mean that's like saying the Rolling Stones are coming to town. Like it's gonna sell out in a matter of seconds.
But okay, so I'm gonna say this. I agree with you. I think that's a great idea. I think they need to go to other countries. What do you think the fans' perspective from America will be if that happens? You think the fans in America, the wrestling fans on TikTok in America, etc. Do you think they're gonna blow up about that?
Well, I'm going to say this right now. The people that are complaining about Elimination Chamber, that are complaining about having to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, And the people that are complaining about it, they know who I'm talking directly to. You can get bent because think about all the foreign fans over in the UK, all the fans across Europe, Germany, like all those Middle Eastern fans, and like even like far west or far east fans, and they have to get up at 2 a.m. to watch it half the time. So what's the difference?
Right. No, I agree.
They have to do it every year, or for every pay-per-view. We have to do it once.
Right. And I agree with you. I think it's great that Endeavor or WWE can take their product and go overseas and put on it. And I think WrestleMania overseas would be great. I'm just saying there's a bunch of fans out there that and of course I don't know specifics, but I can just almost guarantee you there's fans out there that are going to have a shit show about taking WrestleMania out of America. And I think
they will. They'll lose their ever-loving mind. But you know what? It won't hurt business.
No, not at all. I think it'll help business, actually.
We have, and I'm looking at these numbers as we're going through like the attendance numbers. WrestleMania 11 had 16,305 people. To me, these are small venues.
Right.
Like small. Like it doesn't make. I mean, it was at the Hartford Civic Center.
Okay.
For 11. That one had, I mean, an I Quit match with Bob Backlund and Bret Hart.
Yep.
That was a solid match. Diesel beat Shawn Michaels. Because Diesel was Diesel's first main event of WrestleMania. Or he wasn't even the main event. That's what's crazy about this. Is that he wasn't even the main event of that. It was Lawrence Taylor against Bam Bam Bigelow was the main event of that WrestleMania. How do you do that?
No, yeah. I mean, at that point in time, it was about star power in the ring at the end, because I'm looking at these names. He had Ken Norton Jr., Carl Banks, Ricky Jackson, Steve McMichael, Chris Spielman, and Reggie White. You play. That's what Vince did a lot of, and that's what bothers me a lot. Is I think he overdoes it sometimes. He puts those stars in. This becomes a celebrity showcase, and so why not? If we have all these guys up there, you got Lawrence Taylor. Might as well put them in the main event. I agree with you, man. You have a championship match that ought to be your main event.
It should be,
because what you're telling me now is you're not giving credit or the proper props to your main event guys. You're going to put a football, and I'm not saying football players don't deserve to be out there. They're athletes, so don't get me wrong. Nobody out there that's a football player. Don't take it wrong. What I'm saying is, your wrestling show, you need to put your championship at the main event.
Well, and it's that, and Lawrence Taylor played for the New York Giants. Yeah. Why are you who in Hartford, Connecticut give two shits about Lawrence Taylor? They don't even have a goddamn football team.
Exactly.
But we're going to put Bam Bam Bigelow in the main event. Seriously? To me, that's a slap in the face if I'm Diesel.
Yes.
If I'm Diesel at that point and Shawn, I'm like, the fudge? Really?
And shortly after that, Diesel bounced, right? With Razor, right?
Yeah, that shortly after, because this was in 95. Yeah. So the next we don't have Diesel for very much longer.
No, so he's probably getting pissed off about it too. I mean, he's probably saying, "What? I should be in the main event." So, yeah, I agree.
I'm the champion. Why am I not in the main event?
100%.
WrestleMania 12 is next. We had this was Razor and Diesel's last Mania.
Yep.
We misspoke. It came from Arrowhead Pond in Anaheim, California. 18,853 was the attendance numbers for that afternoon, evening. We had in that one we had 6 matches, 6 televised matches at that point. The 6-man tag match. The British Bulldog, Owen Hart, and Vader defeated Ahmed Johnson, Jake the Snake, and Yokozuna, which is really super weird to me. It's super weird to see Yokozuna on the opposite side of what Owen Hart was.
Right.
There was a 6-man tag team match. Had Yokozuna's team won, he would have received 5 minutes in the ring with Cornette. That would have been fun. That would have been fun. Then we had Piper in the Hollywood Backlot Brawl. Like one of the first cinematic matches we had in WWF history. And I remember during that, Goldust got in a car and took off. Like peeled out of there, hit Piper, peeled out of there, and Piper got up, and mind you, this was in 1996. So Piper gets up and he gets in a white Bronco, and chased a car down the LA.
Yes, I did not think about that. What the? All right.
Poking fun at the O.J. Simpson situation.
Yeah. None other. Who's better to do that than Roddy Piper?
Exactly. Let's get in the white Bronco and chase after the bad guy.
Yes. I didn't even think. Man, that's good. I did not think about. I didn't catch that. Yeah. But I did. What I liked about that was the build up again. I loved it. I remember watching the shows prior to WrestleManias, and they did a wonderful job with Goldust, his promos with all the cinematic stuff. Yes, and there was this. You hated him, but you couldn't hate him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You couldn't. You got invested. I mean, that's just like, and this is a bad comparison. Bad comparison. I want to hate MJF, but I can't because the stuff is amazing. The stuff is gold. So that's what I'm saying. I can't hate. I hated that gimmick of the Goldust, but I love Marlena. She's hot as hell, and the cinematic stuff was amazing to me. It was just storytelling. I mean, just boom, boom, boom. It was just so good.
Then we had Stone Cold Steve Austin making his WrestleMania debut, defeating Savio Vega. And then I believe this was Ultimate Warrior's rebirth, and I want to say probably his last Mania that he was in.
I think so.
Against Hunter Hearst Helmsley in kind of a squash match, and Triple H had Sable in his corner. How weird is that to say?
Right? With all the stuff surrounding.
How weird is to see Sable in Triple H's corner? That's just mind-boggling at that point.
Yeah.
And then in a goodbye to Diesel, Undertaker digging holes and taking souls. Undertaker beat Diesel.
Right.
And then the boyhood dream has come true, ladies and gentlemen. HBK beat Bret Hart 1-0 in a sudden death overtime 60-minute Iron Man match. One of the classic matches of all time in WrestleMania history. It's it was just one of those matches that this match I don't want to say it made both of them, but it really did. It really helped them, like, really elevate their game to the next level and become bigger stars.
Right.
But I mean, I'm just kind of like scrolling through some of these other ones. Okay, so in a I'm sorry, I'm just reading some of these pre-show things. The match was broadcast prior to the pay-per-view on Free for All. This was like when the Monday Night Wars were just starting, and because this was in 96. This was March of 96. This is when all the parodies were starting to really go. And they had the Huckster against the Nacho Man.
Nacho Man, yes.
And Billionaire Ted was the special guest referee.
Okay.
That was on Free for All. That was the pre-show, and it was a straight up spoof. It ended up in a no contest because I don't think they really wrestled. I think it was just kind of one of those spots. Right. And I remember because Shawn Michaels was the Huckster.
Huckster, yep.
And he's like, brother, what you doing, brother? Like that. I mean,
remember that, yeah.
On Larry King Live or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was WrestleMania 12. It had a lot of really good spots. And that's going to be the last one we talk about for the day. If you guys are listening to this or whatever, and you guys have any specific matches you want us to talk about in the next, like, in WrestleMania 13, 14, 15, and 16, leave your suggestions, what you want to hear us, like, our opinions on, in the comments. You can direct message me and say, hey, can you talk about this one? Because I have no problem, like, diving into specific matches and really telling you what I think about them, and I'm sure Scott can probably do the same. This is just a retrospective of what we've seen and what we like.
So, in your opinion, we went through 1 through 12. Comparing the first 12 to today, how far behind in quality, production, showcase, the whole picture, how far behind are we? How close are we to where we are now? Back 12 years at WrestleMania 12.
Well, obviously, production values is going to continue to get better because of the camera qualities. It's like day and night at this point. Okay. As far as, like, storytelling, we're getting closer.
Okay.
But the edginess won't take place for another couple we obviously, because we're not quite Attitude Era. This is still that teetering on it. Like, we haven't fully entered the Monday Night Wars, and that's when things really get fun and really get not necessarily heated, but or dicey or spicy or whatever you want to call it. It's more of I think we see more superheroes and comic books and that kind of stuff. We're still trying to appease to the kids at this point. Right. That's why you have go back to 12 here. That's why you have guys like Ultimate Warrior. That's why you have guys like Ahmed Johnson and Jake the Snake, British Bulldog.
Right.
Yeah, the Body Donnas were part of the pre-show against the Godwins. The Godwins were farmers.
Yeah.
Were pig farmers.
Pig farmers, yeah.
I mean, we're still in that generation.
Okay.
And it was not necessarily sloppy booking, but like I said, it was Stone Cold's first Mania. And he put on a great show. Going forward, it's going to be a lot of fun because 13, I got to make sure, 13, in my opinion, was one of the best matches. It's one of my favorite matches, and we'll get to that next week. But this is when it starts getting really edgy with what they're doing and really like in your face with what they're doing. And I think that it makes it fun as a fan to get behind it. And you started getting more invested in these characters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. Yeah. I mean, I think that Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars got the fans more invested than the early stuff. And it's not the early stuff's fault. It's just as wrestling evolves, it gets better and better and better. And so
so we're, like I said, we're going to be 13, 14, 15, and 16 next week. And again, if there's a match you guys want us to talk about in more depth, let us know. And remember, you can catch us pretty much every day of the week here on Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast channel. We got our the other show I'm part of is on Fridays. We do sports talk. This week's episode, we will be talking about the All-Star Weekend, not what's going on this year, because quite honestly, I don't care. Where we're going to be talking about is the history of like the slam dunk contest and the 3-point shootouts and what we remember as the good basketball, the good All-Star weekends. Mm-hmm. Not these crybabies that, like, shoot, Dominique Wilkins was going to play in Orlando, but he couldn't because he ruptured his Achilles tendon. Well, yeah, but LeBron James tomorrow afternoon could get out of bed incorrectly and stub his big toe on his coffee table, and he's going to be out for 6 months.
Couldn't we just hope? Oh, did I say that out loud? I'm sorry.
But and tomorrow, for you sports fans out there, I'm gonna just kind of like go off a little bit here. We have pitchers and catchers report to training camp tomorrow, which is going to be another talking point for a little bit on Friday as well for our sports program. And Scott's working on a lot of really good stuff, really cool names going to be appearing on your Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast screens in the near future. And just hope you guys just enjoy our content. I really do.
I do know tomorrow night is going to be a fun one. It's going to be it's a new up and coming wrestler. Well, I can't say up and coming. He's been in it for 3 years. By the name of Argus Artois. August Artois. Cocky, arrogant, amazing on the mic. Well, is not going to be afraid to tell me how it is. Tell me what he thinks. He is putting up the FIP title on Saturday, and then he faces Austin Aries on the 25th for another title. Of course, if you know who Austin Aries is, he's the title collector. So he's challenging August Artois for that. So he's going to be on there. It's going to be dicey. I can tell you. I talked to Code that was on here earlier last night. I said, hey, can you come in? Because this guy's going to be dicey because I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to handle that. He goes, I don't know if I'm a good fit for that either because I can dice it back. So you want to I guess what I'm saying, if you want to have a fun evening, tune into Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast tomorrow night. It should be a blast.
One more quick pitch. Friend of the program, Alex Kane has he's got quite the fight coming up. I believe I saw a poster that he's going to be going one-on-one with Bobby Fish. So that will be an absolute banger of a match. Mainly because Alex Kane's a bad mother. That Alex Kane is your MLW World Heavyweight Champion. So yeah, I mean, things that you come on our show, you come on Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast, and you become a champion, and you become a main eventer. Ask Alex Kane and ask Shane Taylor. Come on our program. Facts. You become main event material.
That's right. Absolutely.
Actually, just to save face, they're main eventers because, God damn it, they're bad mothers.
Yes. It has nothing to do with us.
It has nothing to do with us.
Only we can hope.
But again, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. It's a little bit shorter of an episode this time because I didn't want to overwhelm and overdo it. But we have, again, Road to WrestleMania. Remember, guys, be fans. Yes. Don't be assholes.
That's right.
You know, like don't be disrespectful to one another. Be a fan of what you are fanning and just enjoy the product. I'm going to quote this man until I'm blue in the face. Will Gray over from Rivet City Radio. Don't yuck other people's yums. Right. If you don't like something, cool, that's your opinion. But don't attack people for something that they might not like. Or something that you might not like. That's all I got.
What happened?
Nothing.
Oh,
you froze.
I froze. I'm at. If you're still on, my guest on Friday is Michael Pena, Mad Mike, aka Perfection. He is a graduate of the Black and Brave, so that'll be interesting to talk to him about Seth Rollins and Merrick Brave and his stuff through that, and see what he's been doing. So again, it goes along the lines of, if you love indie wrestling, this is the nighttime shows for Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast. It's a lot of indies. If you don't, then I'm sorry, but one of my favorite things is indie wrestling. So, yeah. But man, I appreciate, like I said last night, I cannot say this enough. So if I have 2 seconds, Matt, I want to say thank you, brother, for sticking with this. We've been doing this for 2 years. I think Cody Wilson said that we're on episode 190, which is kind of impressive to me. And I have everything to say to thank my brother Matt for that, because if he doesn't continuously call me and say, hey, let's go, let's do this, good job, if I don't continue encouraging him, we wouldn't be doing this. It started with a phone call every day talking about wrestling, and it turned into, why are we talking to each other on the phone? Why can't we just do it on video? So, Matt, thank you. Thank you for my brother. Thank you for the support. And I just want to say I love you. We couldn't be doing this without you. I hope you know that. So.
Thank you. And the same thing with you. I am. There's been days, and again, I want to speak mental health to everyone for a second. There's days I smile, right? Put on that smile and pull the shoes tight, right?
Fake it till you make it.
There's days where I don't want I don't want to do anything. I just want to, and lately it's been more often than not. That's where I want to make sure each and every last one of you know that I appreciate you.
Yep.
That I check on your people. I say this ad nauseum every chance that I get to really talk about this. Check on your people and make sure they're okay.
That's right.
And if a dude, I'm gonna be I'm gonna talk. If a dude tells you he's okay, if he says, "Nah, I'm good, I'm okay," nine times out of 10, he's not.
Yep.
Because we're all going through stuff, and honestly, the guy sitting next, or the guy virtually sitting right next to me, we're probably going through the same stuff.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's going to be just make sure that that each and every last one of you know that we aren't here unless you guys are.
That's right. 100%.
But thank you all. I will see you on Friday. Scott will see you tonight and tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. I won't see you tonight. No, I can't see you tonight. Well, I choose not to see you tonight because I love my wife. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Out to the wives. I'm a smart man. I might be a wrestling fan, but I'm a smart man. And the smart man says, be with the one you love instead of being on a screen.
Happy wife.
Happy life.
Happy life.
It's Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast over and Metal Club.
I'll never back down.